Hi everybody, you're listening to the Khandaan podcast by the You Podcast team, a bi-weekly podcast revisiting the movies of Amir Khan, Salman Khan and Shah Rukh Khan.
Every show we pick a random year from 3 decades of collectively 300 films the Khans have done and let our listeners vote which movie we should talk about. So it's entirely up to you.
Pick a team, make a vote, take us down nostalgia lane, punish us, or make us reassess a movie we dismissed.
We love the Khans, most of us, sometimes. And we would love for you all to be part of our Khandaan, because when it comes to the Khans in Bollywood, nothing else really matters.
So guys, happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali to you too, Asim.
Happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali, happy Diwali. It was a bit noisier than I would have liked, but okay. I'm a bar humbug, sorry.
Where are you, Jay? Are you in Delhi or are
I'm in Delhi.
I wasn't sure that, I just discovered that Jay is not really active on Twitter. So
that's why.
Basically, people that aren't active on Twitter don't really exist for me. So I think this is kind of unfortunate. We haven't really gotten in touch because we'd probably be just bosom buddies if we had.
Yeah. I'm not one of the. I don't use Twitter in the way that most people use Twitter. I just use it to plug my writings once in a while. And since I'm not doing writing in recent times, I have hardly used it.
I mean, I think we need to introduce you a little bit to the Khandaan podcast listeners at least, right? So I got a little nice intro for Amrita. If you want to add anything, Jay, please do. So you're a film scholar. You've written 2 books, one about Jaane Bhi Do Yaro and the world of Rishikesh Mukherjee, which actually, by the way, I was going to tell you guys, I tried to watch a Rishikesh Mukherjee movie.
Wow.
It'll be fun later on.
Wow.
Yeah. You've been running an online film appreciation course for the last few months, and you are also hosting lots of filmy, smart film discussions. And you also have one of the oldest running film blogs, which is on jarjun.blogspot.com.
Yeah, that's fine. The blog is called Jabberwock. It's of course the URL you got right. So you can call it Jabberwock, and it's a film and literature blog really, though it's fine to call it a film blog. It's no problem at all. So that's fine.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. So as is the tradition of Khandaan podcast, we bring on very smart people to talk about very dumb movies. So can you tell the people, Jay, which movie you have picked to discuss on Khandaan podcast and why?
I actually object to that sort of classification, the dumb movie classification, but I'll try not to get pedantic.
I thought you were gonna say I don't agree with the smart people part. But you were talking about the dumb.
No, the people are. I'm sure the people are very smart. But having said that, of course, the film is a no entry. Which I'm very happy to be judged for it, but that is the film, and it's a film that I've enjoyed myself a great deal watching in bits and pieces, and over the last few years whenever it comes on TV. So that's it, yeah.
So you're standing by your pick.
Yeah, I'm standing by it. I'm putting together things in my head for all these intellectual sounding things that one can say about no entry. I'm sure we'll get there.
Okay, this podcast is going to have more intelligence than anything involved in making this movie. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Sujoy, Amrita, how was your Diwali?
I watch Ludo for Diwali.
I watched No Entry.
I actually I was wishing, like, one thing I've noticed, like, the situation I'm in, my friend circle, I end up wishing more people happy Diwali than I actually wish Eid Mubarak. So Eid Mubarak is like 8 people. Happy Diwali is like 55 people on my WhatsApp. So it's like, yeah, this is the kind of situation. And plus, I didn't know that like some people like in South India get really, really offended if you wish them a Happy Diwali. So I got schooled yesterday, which was very interesting. I didn't know that.
Oh God.
Wait, why?
Yeah.
Why do people in South India get offended?
I got like a whole article. I didn't get a time to read it. Yeah, I really got schooled. Like, I was like, this Dravidian king. And I was like, dude, you guys in India have so much infighting. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know who's fighting.
I think it probably has something to do with Ravan being, much more of a hero in certain South Indian traditions than he is up here. So I think that's fair enough actually to be skeptical of Diwali and Dussehra. I personally am skeptical of any festival that involves lots of loud noise and things like that, things that are going to terrify the dogs around me. So I have that take on Diwali, but yeah, there is the South India thing as well.
Yeah, so I learned again. My whole journey in life has been about learning things. So I was being careful. That's why when I was wondering how, if and how Amrita.
Did you uncheck names? Did you uncheck names from your, the list of people that you need to wish Happy Diwali next year?
Oh, no. Fully planned to wish them again next year and get schooled again. And I was like, Asim, I sent you that article. Did you not read it like a year ago? And I'm going to say, no, I did not, unfortunately. So that's what's going to be happening.
See, this is why I don't wish anyone for anything. I'm just mind my own business.
No, that's great policy, and I completely approve of that. If somebody sends me one of those Happy Diwali things on WhatsApp, I will grit my teeth and around 18 hours later just say and to you or something like that. But that's about it.
Yeah,
Jay's like replying 18 hours later, lol.
But who are these graphic designers who spend hours and hours making all these graphic designs for Happy Diwali and Holi and all the festivals? Like, people don't text anymore. They just send these images, all these animated images with a diya burning in the side.
Yeah, you guys are lucky, yaar. We have the same Eid Mubarak gift that we've been using for 8 years. It's the chanda with the mosque, and that's it. That's all we have. It's terrible.
Well, many years ago, there was this image of the satellite image of India on Diwali,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That got debunked, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that is not many years ago. It happens every single year. And every auntie and uncle on WhatsApp will send it to you and say, feeling proud. With multiple
awarded by UNESCO as the best image ever.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we all get cancelled, can I just say that, this is actually a very sad Diwali because Beth is not here today, but Soumitra Chatterjee just passed today and he's been ill for a while. And, it's pretty sad, right? So, Joy, we were going to do another season of Tolly Folly for Soumitra.
Yeah. I mean, what do you say about a legend like him, You can't even begin to... I don't know what to say about Soumitra Chatterjee.
I think this passing away really got to a lot of people, and I've been seeing a lot of emotional tributes, but which movies of his should I watch? Because I've never seen his movies. Which three would you recommend?
Well, there are a lot of Ray films that he was in. He's for people outside Bengal, he's probably best known for the Satyajit Ray films. And my own experience really was that the first time I watched him was in this Ray film called Shonar Kela, which is a film about the detective Feluda that Satyajit Ray created. And it was an eye-opener because, at that point, I think this was perhaps only the second Ray film I had watched after Pother Panchali, which of course is a much more serious, somber, arty film. And I also had this stereotypical idea, as a North Indian of the Bengali man, the Bhadralok figure, Paji, an unathletic intellectual figure with big round glasses, etc. And then I watched Shonar Kela at a film festival, and you have Soumitra Chatterjee, who was a really dashing, handsome leading man in that film as Feluda. And then early scene where he's doing a headstand, and then it just blew a lot of my preconceptions out of the water. And then later, of course, I watched him in some of his more traditional roles for Satyajit Ray in Apur Shansar, The World of Apu, which is the third film in the Apu trilogy, Charulata, Teen Kanya, and so on. So to answer your question, if you just want 3 films, well, you couldn't do much better than Charulata, Apur Shansar, and maybe Shunar Kela.
I've seen him in some really like swashbuckling 1960s period costume kind of dramas. And he's been chewing scenery, like Beth and I, for a long time, there's this one particular scene in this Prisoner of Zenda remake that they did in Bengali, where he is playing the villain, and he gets on this horse, and he's supposed to be like some sort of white man, I think. And, he sneers at the camera from on top of this horse that he clearly doesn't know how to ride. And the horse is like dancing all over the place. And he looks into the camera and he says, "Bloody Bengalis." And then he just canters off. And it is amazing. And you would never think the same guy that was in Apu could also be doing this. It is such a it's night and day. And he's enjoying himself so much in this film. And he's also, he was like a big fan of Ray as well. He didn't just collaborate with Ray, but he was also a fan of his work. And I really enjoy that about him. I really like Jay was saying, he was a beautiful man, and he performed beautifully on screen as well. And those are performances that actually stand up, because there's a lot of films that were made around that era that really don't stand up in terms of performance or in terms of look or in sensibility. But his really do stand the test of time. And I would actually substitute in this little film that Beth and I love. It's called Barnali, and it's Soumitra and Sharmila Tagore, and it's just it's not like a deep film, it's not an art film, it's nothing that would get seen on a festival circuit, but it's so charming, and he is so charming, and he's so earnest and such a leading man, and I really enjoy it. And it's one of my top comfort watches, and I think you can find an English subtitled version on YouTube, or there used to be one on YouTube anyway. But it's charming.
To add to that, there was a picture, a black and white picture from perhaps a Berlinale in the 60s that made the rounds earlier this year with Shashi Kapoor, I think Felicity Kendall, Madhur Jaffrey, and Soumitra, and they were all looking very, very dapper, and this was for the premiere of Ray's Charulata, and that kind of reminded me of how similar in ways Shashi Kapoor's trajectory in his career was with Soumitra. It's just that Soumitra did way much more movies. He also experimented with lots more sort of directors, and he did with Mrinal Sen, Tapan Sinha, Tarun Majumdar, apart from Ray himself. But obviously the collaboration with Ray was probably one of the definitive ones in his career. But I agree with all those movie choices. They are all very, very watchable even to these days, and they're all very aged well. And I think the last movie that I saw with Soumitra is one called Moyurakhi, which came out in 2017, where he plays a sort of a father figure who is sort of losing his wits, and how his son deals with it. It's got Prosenjit as well, and it's good.
So the last time I saw him, the only really recent film of his that I've seen was this short film he did for Sujoy Ghosh. It's a film called Ahalya with Radhika Apte, and it was nice. It wasn't really the sort of role that gave Soumitra a huge deal to do, but it was nice to just see him there and to be reminded of how how he's a sort of bridge between, if you just think of it, it's almost staggering to think that he and Sharmila Tagore played that young married couple in Apur Shansar 61 years ago. It's been 61 years, and they were such a wonderful screen couple. And I also feel about Soumitra. When I think of Soumitra, I think of what Satyajit Ray actually said about another actor once, Sumitro Chatterjee, in the context of his film Pratidwandi. I think he said something like, a star, a really great star, is someone who continues to be interesting and expressive even after he or she has stopped doing anything in the scene. And I think that applies just as well to Soumitra.
This is kind of more like a, Tolly Folly kind of podcast, and I think a topic, and I think you guys are also going to hopefully be doing a series about his movies, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to be schooled and educated on that. But I think, all we can say is rest in peace at this time, So, he had a great career, and I'm looking forward to, watching some of the movies that you guys have recommended. I think it kind of brings me to our first topic on the podcast that you guys, Amrita, wrote down in your email to me. And I wanted to start off with Jay, because Jay, you watch a lot of older movies, classical movies, and we're just talking about movies from 60, 70 years ago. And how do you access them? What is your way to do it? Like, are you getting Criterion editions? Are you searching old prints, or are you reliant mostly on streaming services? How are you going about it as somebody?
Are you talking principally about non-Indian films now? Because with Criterion.
I'm talking about Indian movies more even Bengali movies. I've had when I listen to the Tolly Folly episodes that, Beth, Amrita and Sujoy do, a lot of times I'm just struggling, how can I find this movie in a good print with subtitles?
Well, that is a lot to ask for, but things are definitely better today on that front than they were, say, around 20-25 years ago. The only way I could watch even a Satyajit Ray or a Ritik Ghatak film, sitting in Delhi, was when film festivals happened, or when, once in a while you'd have, the British Council Library would have good prints of the Apu trilogy with reliable subtitles. Otherwise, the subtitling was a joke, the prints weren't always good. That has changed now. So I think, places like, the online forums, the Prime Video or whatever on Netflix, they do tend to have decent prints with decent subtitles of a lot of these films. But yeah, there is of course a lot of the non-Hindi Indian cinema of the past that is still not accessible to many viewers. Maybe on YouTube once in a while or something, you'll get it.
So I'm basically asking this question because it looks like there's going to be more restrictions on OTT platforms, right? In India at the moment. Is that the news, Amrita? They're putting some sort of censor certificate on it?
Yeah. So basically from now on, the OTT platforms, the content has to be, they have to get permissions, I guess, from the INB ministry, the same as movies. So I think this is in response to basically what the right wing sees as anti-India content being put on, Prime and Netflix and stuff. Stuff like Delhi Crime and what is the other one? The one about caste violence. I can't remember the name.
Patal Lok.
Patal Lok. That's right.
Yeah.
So these are, there've been a lot of people on the right wing who've been talking about how series like that or films like that are basically against the Indian image, etc. Basically the same kind of conversations that people in Pakistan have been having about Chudails. They've been having about about these shows. And
but here's my question though, there are last counted, there are 40 OTT platforms in India churning out content on a daily basis, like MX Player, the smaller players. Are the INB ministry going to have people sitting down and watching all these, the alt Balaji, alt reality kind of series? The MX Player, the Bobby Deol, whatever he's doing, Japnam, those kind of series are being made on a weekly basis. How many people is the INB ministry going to employ to watch 1,000 hours of content every week?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Yeah.
I think there's two aspects to that, and I think that's always the case. Is when these restrictions come into place, they are only for new shows. They would never go back and delete stuff that was also, when we were discussing Dil Se back in the day, or, there's so many movies even that you could go back and say wow, you could never make this movie now, right? And so I think those restrictions only come for things that are coming out like Patalok, even sacred games, I would say, these could get restrictions, but they would not go back and watch, the old catalog. And I think also a lot of these censorships are probably politically motivated, right?
Obviously.
If you are paying the piper, you're probably going to get through the censor. And if you're not, then you might get stuck at it. And then, I think that's probably what's going to be happening. I'm not sure, but,
it's all about content politics rather than rating stuff as not safe for work or the language or the violence, sex, drug use and all of that. It's about whether this is offending a particular section of the society, aka whoever you join the dots basically, and it's trying to regulate that narrative, which is what irks me. I also think if they are going to censor OTT streaming, how does YouTube and independent media fit into the picture is another big question. I don't know how it's going to work.
And also, what about the shows that are made outside of India? Is it just for Indian shows? So
yeah, I don't know. Would it be like watching Game of Thrones on Star World with everything edited out? I don't know.
But that already happens. I think these shows are already edited. Are they not?
No,
not on streaming. Not on streaming. No.
Oh, okay.
No, not on streaming.
And also.
Yeah, sorry.
Also, the White Tiger that's coming out, that's a great example, because that's an American show, but it's aimed at an Indian audience as well as an American audience. So, and it's about India. So, how, does it need to get a censorship certificate from Delhi, even though it's made in the United States? How does that work?
I think unfortunately the template has been already set by, countries like North Korea and China. So very easily there might be, a very easy way to model that kind of censorship online restriction model and then adapt it to local markets. Beside what they were already doing of, creating PR campaigns and hate campaigns and, cutting off noses and all these kind of things that were already happening. Now they also have the algorithm on their side. So it's sad. And I wonder how it's going to play out, because the thing is there's so much hate with, conservatives generally, I feel. Even if you play their game, the hate is so much that they will end up eating their own. And I think that's what's happening with Akshay Kumar at the moment. He's landed into controversy with his latest movie, Laxmii, which was supposedly called Laxmii Bomb before. That wasn't good enough. But he also released a poster, which I think it's called Ram Setu. Is that what it's called? Did you guys see that? First look he unveiled, and a lot of people were really, really angry about that too. Which I was actually going to ask you guys, why are people angry? Because I don't even know what they're talking about. So can you guys explain why people are angry and what that poster is about?
I totally missed that. So I think Amrita or
I don't speak wanker, so I don't know.
No, I didn't see this at all. But to the question, why do people get angry or offended? It just feels like one of those things, because we need to. It's offense taking at whatever level is part and parcel of how people seem to be reacting to anything these days. I can think of so many examples from films that seemed perfectly innocuous to me, of some group or the other just nurturing their hurt sentiments, and which is okay. Everybody's allowed to feel hurt, but when it turns into a call for banning something or stopping other people from experiencing it, that's where the problem obviously comes. And of course we've had a lot of, I was we were talking about, I think you guys might be talking about Ludo a bit later, right? So I was just watching this one scene in Ludo where Rajkumar Rao, he's on stage, playing the role of Shurpanak during a Ramayan performance, and there are cuss words used during the performance because the fourth wall is broken, etc. And I was just thinking, that scene is one of the children of the the famous Mahabharat scene in Jaane Bhi Do Yaro in 1982-83, and I was just thinking that once this OTT censorship thing starts, it will be very difficult to have even scenes like this included in films. Where
I mean, PK ran into trouble because of that Ramayan scene as well, right?
Yeah. Also the Shiva scene in the bathroom.
Shiva in the toilet.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. I'm not sure if they'll go retroactively to censor these movies that already are out. PK might not find a home, but I don't think they'll go back to censor Jaane Bhi Do Yaro. I don't think so.
No, that's not what I was saying. What I was saying was any films, from now on that try to, do
exactly,
little things like this, like Ludo just did in that scene. So everybody's going to have to be very careful. I think writers and directors will have new sets of challenges. I actually know, a couple of years ago, a magazine had asked me to do a story about the fact that OTT platforms, don't have censorship and what that means. And I spoke with a couple of people, Vikramaditya Motwane and a couple of other directors. And what was interesting was that all of them, without exception, were expecting censorship to kick in pretty soon. And they were saying it's going to happen in the next year and a half. And then, obviously it will be bad on one level, creative freedoms, etc. On another level, it might force us to do cleverer things to make our points, and sort of just to sidestep the sort of stuff that is easily censored or objected to. Maybe it can lead to subtler satire or stuff like that.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about Iran actually as this thing was coming out, because there's a lot of Iranian films that talk about some very controversial things and they just have to find clever ways of doing it.
Yeah.
Also, the whole idea of censorship needs to be about certification, right? Rather than obstructing in the way of the creativity and the story being told, which obviously does not hold true in India.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember when Prasoon Joshi was appointed to the censorship board and everybody was like, at last, one of our own is there. He will understand. I mean, that was amazing.
Good times. The innocent of our past, I think this is a kind of a good segue to start talking about the things that we watched in the last few weeks. Sujoy, did you end up watching Laxmii Bomb actually or not?
No, I didn't. No.
Why, man? Why did you not?
Well, A, it's on Hotstar that I don't have access to, and B, I didn't want to. I mean, have you seen the songs and the trailer and diabetic Akshay Kumar? I know.
I was surprised at the like I was shocked when the trailer dropped, and I think we discussed it on the show.
Yeah.
That the marketing of it and what the trailer was completely off, and then the reviews were just terrible, like really, really terrible, which was expected. But even his own audience was like very quiet, Akshay Kumar audiences can be quite loud a lot of times. But what was more surprising is that, Amrita, you've actually watched the original of this movie.
I actually didn't know I had until Anna Vetikad talked about it. And poor Anna is so dedicated to her craft. She actually went and watched it on purpose so that she could talk about it while she was reviewing Laxmii. And when I read what Anna had to say, I was like, oh, wait a minute, I have seen this. And when I say I have seen this, I don't mean I sat down and watched it. I mean, like, it was playing in the background. I think my mother was watching it at some point. And so I was just really irritated because it was really bad. And I couldn't ignore it because it was that bad. So I have seen the Tamil original, yeah.
But have you seen the Akshay Kumar version?
So I was going to, but then I watched No Entry, and now I hate all film.
Oh God, this is going to be fun times. Okay, so nobody watched Laxmii, but Sujoy and Jay, you both watched Scam 1992, right?
Yes, I managed to finish the series, yes.
Arshad Shantilal Mehta, big bull, man of integrity. BSc का बच्चन है बच्चन. Is he an idiot? Harshad is a hero.
Fraud.
ये हर्षद मेहता बहनचोद है कौन?
Jay, what are your thoughts? Because I think, Sujoy, you talked about it a little bit when you watched the first few episodes. So, Jay, what did you think of the show?
Well, it's I haven't been binge watching things in a very long time for one reason or the other, but I managed to watch all 10 episodes, and it's 1 hour per episode or so of this show, I think, in 3 or 4 days, which is very quick for me. And it's very matter of fact in its depiction of this famous scam that happened in the early 90s of Harshad Mehta, the big bull as he was known as a person, a man who wasn't born into privilege but who had the ability to take the initiative and to do certain things that when you manage to get away with them, you get lionized for doing them in a capitalist world. As the real life Harshad Mehta was for a while, with magazine covers and the big bold title, etc. And I found it very interesting at the level of both the writing and the pacing. One thing that really came across was that a show like this, where Harshad Mehta is, you have the sympathetic side of him portrayed as well. Very often you get these really ideological critiques which say, oh, you're whitewashing the guy, and I really feel like hardly anybody said that for this show, because it was done in such a there was something very direct and truthful about the behavior that they depicted, where it was done without necessarily judging the character, but at the same time just not glossing over what he's doing at the same time. You show him in everyday quotidian situations, sitting with his family, his wife and children. And when you see a character like that over a 10-hour show, you necessarily get to see him as a fleshed out person, with all the little qualities and tics that most human beings have. He becomes relatable on some level, even while the show is not endorsing anything that he does. And I think, it just worked very well at the level of writing and performances. There was a point, sorry, I'm just going on about this, but there was a point around the 4th or 5th episode where I found my attention drifting a bit, not only because, I've always been pretty uninterested in and clueless about the financial world, about how stock markets work, the backroom operations of banks and so on. So at some point I started feeling like, there's going to be a lot more appeal of this show to people who are into that sort of thing. But then the last few episodes, when it really got into the investigation and the uncovering of the scam and the apprehension of Harshad Mehta, it just took off in a big way, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I would agree with what Jay said. Like, it is a very humanized version of the character, rather than, again, whitewashing or glorifying the things that he achieved to do. It sort of points the focus at the failings of a country which was trying to keep up with all these new financial laws, and how he as a character sort of got away with it. But we have those instances happening everywhere, and today, like, it's all about who takes the fall for all of that. We have money laundering schemes that are being exposed by HSBC day in and day out. They dealt with the cartels and all of that. And we have the subprime crisis when Lehman Brothers all went down. So this was one of those momentous events that happened in the 90s, and Harshad Mehta took the fall for it. And there were many other players in that story. It goes deep into that investigation, and I'm very, very much interested. This is totally my cup of tea. And this is based on a book by Sucheta Dalal, who is also a character in this show, played by this actress called I forget the name, but she is really, really great. Shreya Dhanvantari. She really plays her part really well, as well as Prateek Gandhi, who is playing Harshad Mehta. He totally humanizes the character. Like, you get to see him as a son, as an ambitious person who wants to, rise above the mediocrity that his life can afford, but he wants to become more. He is a very lovable husband, and yet he is, a mastermind as well. He's having all these plans play out in his head all the single time. And you can see his confidence, all of that, all the characteristics that you can think of what a Harshad Mehta could have been are all being portrayed out in this 10 episode series, and I really, really enjoyed it. I think we have seen so many crime drama series that have come out of the streaming platforms in India, and I think it's high time that we did something like this. And Hansal Mehta really, really nailed it.
And what are you watching this on?
This was on Sony Live, so I watched that on VPN. So it's not available in the UK, but it's streaming on Sony Live.
Yeah, and I think the unfortunate is that a lot of times when a show is streaming on another channel in the States, it ends up on Netflix. But I don't think this is going to be the case for Scam 1992, and I feel I'm missing out, unfortunately. I'm kind of a lot of conversation and a lot of positive buzz around this show, and unless I find a way to pirate it or torrent it, or, somebody puts it on YouTube, there's not going to be any way to watch it, unfortunately, in the UK. Amrita, are you watching it? Are you interested in it or not really?
I'm interested in it, but I'm just, I'm actually a little bit taken aback by both Jai and Sujoy loving it, because I haven't had the best time with Hansal Mehta's movies before. They tend to be a little bit patchy and uneven in tone, and I don't always enjoy.
I think this has the writing backing the whole narrative, so it's again that's why I think it's better than most Hansal Mehta works.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Also, I think though I liked a couple of Hansal Mehta's films. When it comes to the patchiness, which I think is a real thing. Again, a bit of conjecture here, but I feel like he might just turn out to be a better director in this medium, where you have this much time and space to tell a story. Whereas, a lot of the patchiness in a film like Shahid, for instance, which a film that I liked on the whole, but I also felt like there were chunks missing from it somewhere, that needed to be there. And I don't know the backstory, but it could very well be that it was much longer originally, and then they had to chop bits just to sort of keep it down to a manageable running time. And with something like a 10 episode show, that might not be the case. So maybe that is one factor.
So does that mean you did not watch Chalang, the new Hansal Mehta movie with Rajkumar Rao?
Does this surprise you, Sujoy? Is that what you're saying? Are you surprised that I didn't watch something new?
Pretends to be shocked.
You know what I did watch? Actually, you know what? This is for all the ladies out there who've been not just ladies actually, all the people out there who've been listening to Khandaan and writing in. There's a secret society of you who are also into Turkish dramas, and I just want you to let you know, I did find a Turkish drama, and I am watching full episodes of it. So shout out to, it's called HERÇAI. I think that's how you pronounce it. And it's actually really great. I've been enjoying it. There's about 100 hours of it. It's on YouTube and on other sites, and there are English subtitles for quite a few of them. And I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, if you're looking for Turkish series, then that's the one that I recommend.
You, I thought you were going to segue to that trailer of
the Real Housewives of Bollywood.
Oh my god!
She's such a moron.
You're a big fat bully.
Oh my god, get over it.
People have this misconception about us that we have these oh so glamorous lives, but that's not really true. Our lives can be quite mundane.
Of course we go shopping in a Rolls Royce. Any other mode of transportation? I don't know. My phone kept buzzing.
Okay, can I just say I have the greatest friends, because within half an hour of that trailer dropping, I had 5 different people send it to me on DM and be like, have you seen this? And I was like, what?
You've made good friends, Amrita. You've made good friends.
They know me to my bones.
I do feel when the show is out, and, we want to talk about a review about it, I don't think me and Sujoy will be, that line, humse na ho paega. Like, I think we need to bring in, like Get Filmy or somebody else or Pitu that can really throw the ball around with you on that show.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling
I don't
very,
think we are equipped for that,
Yeah, I'm feeling very incompetent here. But what did you think about this trailer?
I am not planning to watch full episodes of this. I think I will die of cringe within the first 10 minutes. No, what I'm planning to do is I'm going to wait until people clip scenes from it and then put it up, and then I can just watch the clips that everybody is obsessed over. Like Tumblr is going to go insane over this show. I just know it already. I can feel it in my bones. But
so Amrita, give some context, because I have a feeling Jay doesn't even know the existence of this show. Do you know the existence of this show,
no,
Jay?
I probably don't.
That's what I thought.
And you're happy for it.
The world would be a better place if this didn't exist. So this is the show.
But you say that for no entry also. So I'm not taking that as face value.
Actually, this just might be Jay's cup of tea. Who knows? This is the new. I think it's like a scripted reality series. At least I hope it's a scripted reality series, because there's so much bad acting in this. It makes me sad to think that they'd actually behave like this on their own. But it's a scripted reality series by Dharma Productions. So, okay, first of all, it's amazing to me that after the year that he has had, Karan Johar would go on Instagram and actually plug this show. I was just like, what is wrong with you? But anyway, so it's called The Fabulous Wives of Bollywood. And from
The Fabulous Lives of Bollywood Wives.
Oh, it's The Fabulous Lives. This is how much I pay attention. But it is basically a collection of star wives. And I use the term star very loosely here. It's basically a collection of never have beens and has beens. And it's people like Sohail Khan's wife and Sanjay Kapoor's wife.
I don't even know who these people are exactly. So one is Sohail Khan's wife.
Yeah, and then there's Sanjay Kapoor's wife. There's Neelam Kothari. There is Noni Pandey's mom. And somebody else. I can't remember.
No, those are the main four. And I think there is a guest feature in the trailer from Gauri Khan.
Yeah, and Shah Rukh.
Which I did not see coming. My jaw dropped on the floor. Is wow, what does Shah Rukh owe Karan Johar that he lets Gauri come into this show and be featured in it?
Oh, wow. Yeah, so it's basically them, it's basically them showing their fabulous lives, and their fabulous lives are apparently things like they're texting with Kim Kardashian and going shopping in a Rolls Royce and basically having a great time on Shah Rukh Khan's money. That seems to be a major part of the proceedings. And it is incredibly cringe. And right now everybody is just that point of bored in the pandemic where I think this can go one of two ways, I think. And I think it's going to go both ways. It's going to go horribly wrong in that people, all those Karan Johar murdered Sushant Singh Rajput people are going to come out of the woodwork again and cry about nepotism. And also there's going to be this other, mainly NRI crowd of people who are just going to have the time of their lives laughing about this. So it's going to be both.
So my major question was, how do the wives of Sohail Khan, Sanjay Kapoor and Chunky Pandey, how are they afford this lifestyle? I don't understand. The maths just doesn't work for me. How?
Well, it's Shah Rukh Khan's money. I think Noni Pandey's been very clear about that, about how Shah Rukh's basically been a second dad, I think is how she puts it. And he basically just pays for her vacations and things. So I think that's basically what's happening.
Oh, but like, why would he play Sohail Khan's like?
They're all friends with
wife?
Gauri, and I think that's how it works.
Okay.
I wish I was friends with Gauri. I mean, it seems like it's better than marrying rich. You know, you just make friends with Gauri Khan.
Yeah. I don't know. So, Sujoy, did you even watch the trailer?
Yeah, of course I watched because Amrita insisted that we watch it.
What did you think?
I'm not going to watch the show. That's what I think. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the Twitter conversations about this show.
More than the show itself. That will be fun.
Yeah, and I everybody loves Car Crash TV, so that's going to be fun. I mean, clearly it's not a show for me, but I think it's kind of that, what was that matrimonial show that came out a couple of weeks ago? What is time? Months ago when the
matchmaker
come
thing?
out?
Yeah.
The matchmaker thing, and this is obviously inspired by the Real Housewives of Atlanta or Miami or whatever those shows are. I'm not the audience for either of those, and I didn't watch the matrimonial show, but it does, I did watch the what was it, the Lion King or whatever it was called, that show. No, not Lion King. What's that show where everybody was talking about lions in March? Remember,
the Tiger
King,
Lion King.
Oh, Carol Baskin.
Yeah, that one. See, that was this year. I've already forgotten. But it has a bit of conversation going and a bit of like hoopla for a couple of weeks, and then everybody's forgotten about it.
Yeah.
And then it gets renewed for season 2. So it's going to be fun. I don't know. I'll watch one episode just to join in when you want to let loose on it. I know my wife was like, I already hate these women, so she's not going to watch it. So I'm very blessed to have married a very sensible woman. What else? Sujoy, you watched, you spent a lot of time on streaming, right? You watched, let's go with Taish.
Yeah.
Hello, Dulha. Hello, Dulhan.
Hi.
तुम दोनों भाग की शादी क्यों नहीं कर सकते?
Son is the brother that Rohan wished he'd had.
वो नहीं आएगी.
अरे बंदे, दिल से याद कर तो फोन
Can I just say, you guys have explained this show to me, I think 3 different times. I still don't remember what it is.
So Amrita, you would be so proud that I watched the movie version and the series version of Taish.
Wait, there are 2 versions? Why? Why are there 2 versions?
It's kind of like an experiment, I think, in streaming. So the series is edited in a different way than the movie, and the series is, I think, 30 plus minutes longer. So with more footage. Yeah.
So this is, IMDb says it's a story of friendship and loss of innocence when 2 worlds clash amid a wedding, when a secret exposes a betrayal and innocent friends converge with dangerous criminals and intense violence. And honestly, I don't think that's a pretty good summary of the show. It's directed by Bijoy Nambiar. It stars, Harshvardhan Rane, Jim Sarb, Pulkit Samrat, Kriti Karbhanda, all people that I don't know except that they were in T-series movies. I see them sometimes on Instagram. So like all of those people got together and made this show. Sujoy, what did you think of it? Actually, no. Is there a point to this experiment of doing it on, making a movie out of it and then a show? And if they would only release one of those 2, which would you say this is the better version?
Oh, I don't know. I think both of them have their plus points, I think, in the way that they have tried to show. But I think as a final product, the movie stands better. Yeah. I think it's more
interesting because I only watched the show. I didn't watch the movie.
Okay.
I make good life choices, clearly.
Is it not evident after 80 episodes on the Khandaan podcast?
Yeah. Ishki di gali which no entry. That's me, basically.
I mean, I'm not exactly, I would say, familiar with Bijoy Nambiar's work. I have seen bits and pieces of his work. Like from David and Shaitan, I've like only watched bits of them. And Wazir, I didn't like. I think we watched Wazir together, right?
Yeah, I liked Wazir.
Yeah, I think, Taish, the movie is, really competent in the way it's very economic in the way it's trying to tell its story, and it kind of leaves some things that it doesn't need to, expand on. And I think that's where the series sort of takes up that format of building up tension and, leading up to a cliffhanger so that you continue watching. And I think on the grander scale of things, the movie does it much better like that. And, I mean, great performances, great technical, achievement by the technical team. And some of the action scenes in this movie are, I think, one of the best, work that I've seen out of, Indian streaming shows. Specifically the one that is shot in the pub where Pulkit Samrat hits the gangster. That is amazing. I would like to see more of that, please.
Yeah. So I watched the show. I didn't watch the movie, and I think I was reading even maybe Anna's review about and she also recommended that the movie is better. But the show is weird because on the one side, it's very long. It's 6 episodes of, 45 minutes each, around 40 minutes. And still it feels that it doesn't delve enough into the stories of a lot of the characters. It's kind of like weird in that way. And it has really confusing editing, which really... and it feels confusing just for the sake of confusion. Like, I forget, like, where are we? Which country are we in? Which time zone are we in? And it just...
How much time has passed from the last event and in which exact time zone we are on right now? Is it 2 years previous to the incident that last happened in the last episode or not,
Exactly, and it doesn't really add anything to the show, or it just feels like a flourish that he kind of like wanted to do, and then he's done it for the show, and I don't know, it didn't really work for me, and a lot of times I just don't understand any of the character motivations, or I even don't understand their backstories. Like, there's a love story that we should be pining for, and I don't even understand when they fell in love, who these people are, like, and they take such a long time to get to the point. It's like, okay, so why is this such a big issue? I don't understand. And also, I realized that I don't see relationships the way the director sees relationships. And it's like, love and like brotherhood, family, these concepts that the writer or the writer is trying to portray, I don't see it that way. Like, love for them is like this very Kabir Singh type of violent, passionate wala love, and that's not how I see romantic love. So it's kind of very hard to get into that and find a connect. And I'm saying that because the main characters, their whole drive is about this love, these relationships in the show, and when they're not sketched out, and I don't understand what the motivation is or why people are doing certain things, you kind of like lose interest. I mean, there's a few like horrific sequences in there, or like they kind of talk about it a little bit, and they make it out like this big reveal, and you figured it out like pretty much at the start. Like, at least I did. I don't know about you, Sujoy, or if in the movie it's done differently. Is it? Or they really stretch it out in the show, right?
It is stretched out in the show. It's kind of building up to that reveal, right? But in the movie, it's kind of, the narrative goes from that particular scene happens in the middle. Like, there is no build up to it. It's just part of the story. And I think that's why it kind of felt like it's not a trick that they want to make it like to drive the narrative. It's part of the story itself.
Yeah. Yeah, where it's really like a end episode kind of reveal, and it didn't like, you kind of already figured it out. And but the performances are great. The production is great. It's really shot well. I like this kind of like desi gangsters in London setup, which you know about, but you don't see it that well. I don't know. And we've seen it even in like shows here, and like Man Like Mubin, which is a show I can really recommend to people that they should watch it.
There's even references of like desi gangsters in that Gareth Evans show. What's that called? Gangs of London.
Gangs of London. Yeah, no, I think it has some really cool beats in that kind of setup. But the show itself, I don't know if I would recommend it. I do feel I think Harshvardhan Rana is really good in this.
Oh, yeah.
I think if he gets, like, he has that kind of like badass action hero kind of role, and I think he could really take that to the next level. And if people give him a shot to, do, like, I think he's now been cast in a John Abraham movie, and I think that's kind of like the perfect zone he could kind of do more in. So,
and I would even like to pitch in Pulkit Samrat, who's only done movies like Fukre and Fukre Returns. I think action is also he does drama well, but he also, because he's done like TV and other movies as well, but I think action is also his zone. I really like the action stuff that he's done in this movie. But again, Harshvardhan, like big, like breakthrough performance in this. I haven't seen his previous work, but in Taish he's really good.
Yeah. Jim Sarb didn't work for me at all, but he rarely works for me, so this is nothing new for me. But I don't know. I don't know. Jay, have you watched a lot of Bijoy Nambiar movies? Is David and Chatan, and even David was this experiment where he did the same movie in 2 languages, right? Have you seen either of those?
David, I saw Shaitan, liked it. It was also one of those indie films that got me a bit confused at times, I think, but I liked it on the whole. And he directed Wazir also, you were saying, right? Yeah. So I liked Wazir moderately. I didn't mind it, so it was nothing that special. And I don't know, I don't think I've really formed an opinion about his kind of cinema. This is interesting, but what you've been talking about sounds interesting, but again, I don't know that I can go and watch a whole series just now. But the Shaitan I like. And
but I think that's my thing. I think the show is there. If you have a Z5 subscription, you can watch it and have a good time. But I don't think I would recommend it to, Jay or to Amrita. You have to watch it like I did with Churels, for example. So I don't think it's that good, but I think if you have a Z subscription, you'll have a good time watching it. अभी तक नहीं देखी. Oh, that one I did. I thought you was talking about Jaane Bhi Do Yaaro because we have Jay on, which I've never seen that movie. I've not managed to finish that movie. But yeah, Z5. It's a weird platform, man. I'm happy that they added some content, and I think even Khali Pili is out now, which I haven't gotten a chance to watch it, but I'm really looking forward to it. Although it's going to be a terrible viewing experience, but Taish is kind of okay.
Ludo is life, and life is Ludo. आप जीतो या हारो, अल्टीमेटली सारे गोटियों को पहुंचना तो एक ही घर में है ना.
Well, luck suck everyone.
I think the other platform, Netflix, did a much better job with the Ludo that dropped this week, which Sujoy, you also watched, right?
Yes, and I've watched it as well.
Amazing!
After being led by Amrita a few weeks back to think that it was some sort of exalted video game starring Abhishek Bachchan. So I did manage.
Abhishek Bachchan is expanding his horizons not only to streaming but on to video games as well now.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Hollywood makes like board game videos all the time, like Jumanji and like, Battleship. Maybe, we should do that with Snakes and Ladders and like Karan Johar to direct it like the most.
I would completely sign up to watch Snakes and Ladders directed by Karan Johar.
Yeah, I would. Amrita, you didn't watch Ludo, right?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah. Jay, what did you think? Knowing that you thought this was a video game or a game until like 2 weeks ago, what did you think of Ludo?
I thought it was pretty interesting conceptually, but then that of course goes without saying with a film like this. So, it's always going to be a bit gimmicky as well. I thought it was a bit messy in the actual execution. But I liked some strands for in case it needs to be said, it's a film that brings together 4 or 5 different stories and with the characters with their arcs intersecting with each other at different points and all sort of building up to this Ludo like scenario of making it home, so to speak, as one does in the board game. I liked little things, and I liked the tracks involving Pankaj Tripathi, for instance, in fact I like the one with the scenes between Pankaj Tripathi and Shalini Vatsa. It sort of felt like a nudge, wink, nod to the badass characters that they've played in recent shows and films. Pankaj Tripathi, of course, was in Mirzapur. Shalini Vatsa played the role of Kanta Bhai in Sacred Games, where she was very interesting. And I thought just bringing them together, felt like a bit of an inside joke on some level. I thought it was pleasant on the whole, a bit confusing at times. And of course, for a film like this, you have to play the connect the dots game constantly. You have to keep noticing the cleverness of the filmmakers and, noticing how one thread links up with another. So that is part of it. But on the whole, I liked it. Yeah.
Sujoy, what did you think?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Like we were talking about the trailer when it came out 2 weeks ago, and how in a very, very long time something exciting was coming on the horizon, and I had all my expectations met. I was happy and content. I am happy that Anurag Basu, after the failure of Jagga Jasoos, didn't think of going safe, and he doubled down on everything that he had and brought out this story. And I liked living in this world. I liked knowing all these characters, some more than others. And I really enjoyed going through the musical whimsy of Preetham's music to all the dramas that unfolded on screen in the course of the 2.5 hours that this movie lasted. I really enjoyed it.
Actually, that's a very good point you made. I think, I had almost temporarily forgotten that Jagga Jasoos was the last film, and that is exactly the sort of film where if it doesn't work, a director or a writer can just be petrified into doing something very conservative after that.
Yeah.
So that's from that point of view also. Yeah, I think Ludo is. I mean, it was always going to be a bold sort of film to make to do something like this. Yeah.
I think with Ludo it's been interesting because I don't feel the critical conversation about it is really that positive. Most of the reviews are have a lot of issues with it, and I wish this was almost like the whole episode we could talk about Ludo, because I was trying to temper my excitement about this movie, and I think this is the best thing I've watched the whole year. I don't think there's if we were making a top 10 list, this was my favorite movie of the year. And like Jagga Jasoos, I remember when I watched Jagga Jasoos, the first 10 minutes, I knew, Sujoy, you were next to me, that I would be in love with this movie and not a lot of people would be. And the same thing happens. There's this sequence where they have this old song from Albela and they dancing to it with their necks. And I was so in love with this movie at that point. I was laughing when it wanted me to laugh. I was excited when it was on this thrill ride. I was mesmerized by how beautifully everything is shot. Just when they're going, when there's a shot where Abhishek is in kind of a bull cart with a little girl, and just the greens and the where they are is wow, this is so. It reminded me of Jagga Jasoos. It reminded me of Barfi in so many good ways, and I think with both Barfi and with Jagga Jasoos, the conversation kind of got skewed. With Barfi, there was a lot of conversation about plagiarism. about how slapstick has been plagiarized. With Jagga Jasoos, it became this whole either the Katrina Kaif, Ranbir thing, or how big of a flop it was, and people didn't connect with it. And I think that I like that Anurag Basu doubled down on both things. There's a lot of slapstick in Ludo.
Oh yeah. And there is a certain Chaplin-esque quality to the comedy scenes in this movie, like the scenes in the police station where the police there is a silence and the music plays the cues, and the side characters rush in with the telephone. It's all, there is a certain quality to Anurag Basu's movies. And I think I enjoy seeing that unfold on screen.
Yeah.
And it also has that what Jagga had. Jagga had these really kinetic action set pieces that it almost reminds me of Steven Spielberg's Tintin, if you remember that animated one, where it just goes from one part to the other part. And Ludo, he does exactly the same thing again, and it does have that like movement in the plot of itself, but also in the way the sequences are shot. Just that final sequence where Abhishek is driving with the Jeep and shooting, and it's in slow motion, and there's a song on the background. It's like so many things going on at the same time, which I think if you're not on board in the first 10 minutes, you will not be able to connect with this movie. Honestly, I feel if in that sequence where, where they've had the murder and the guy has fallen through the hole and he's, naked, and they have that old song playing, if you've not enjoyed those 10 minutes, shut it off. I don't think the movie will win you over after that point.
I think the whole first 30 minutes is all set up, right? It's like, it's trying to interlink, and it does it so smartly. And that is like the caper genre that we've seen in like Guy Ritchie movies and other interconnecting stories. If that is not your cup of tea, I don't think Ludo will speak to you.
Yeah. And also, like Jagga, I can see the issues with the movie too. Like, I can see that, and I mentioned this last episode when we were talking about PPK, which I won't try to pronounce the name. Amrita, you want to give it a shot?
That's fine. Everyone's been on my ass. Like, I'm a Malayali. I can't help it.
Yeah, so go to episode 79, whatever that movie was, PPK. And I was mentioning that I don't like, anthologies. I don't like when it crosses together. So that I still like it is because of mostly the performances in this movie and the directorial eye that Anurag Basu has. But there are still stories that didn't connect with me that much. And that was the couple. Who are they called?
Sania Malhotra and Aditya Roy Kapoor.
No, Rohit Saraf and Pearl Mani, I think. The love story. That one didn't work for me that well. The Aditya Roy Kapoor was actually worked better than I expected.
Yeah.
And I feel there's an easy joke to be made that the puppet that Aditya Roy is using has more expression than Aditya Roy has, but I feel Aditya Roy Kapoor is really pretty, so I think we should, give him some,
I mean, he, like credit where it's due when he says that line, which is in the trailer itself, "Soch sahi hai, madam, zamana galat hai." I laughed again, like, oh, what an execution.
And also his thing where he just laughs whenever there's like a super I just love that he laughs out loud at the absurdity of the situation, because he becomes like an audience surrogate at that time. I'm laughing, so he's laughing, and he understands that everything is ridiculous. And the other thing also, I didn't really, I mean, I like the idea, it didn't work for me. It was the book ending of it, that they're
Yamraj and Chitragu.
Yeah, which didn't, did that part work for you? Because I didn't, didn't really.
It felt like it wasn't really necessary, it felt like you could have just jumped into the film without having to sort of, it almost felt like that they were trying to provide some sort of an explanation for the lunacy of the film, which wasn't really needed, I think it would have been fine without that.
But I did laugh and I did enjoy it. And that's again because of the writing, because they do drop that line of, Sawal Jalebi or Jawab Tumhe Kalakan Chahiye, which I thought this is so good.
What I did miss in this movie was, I think this movie could have been better if the police wala was replaced by Saurabh Shukla.
Right.
That might have been interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, as a dad, also the Abhishek track really got to me. Like that, I was like,
I saw that trailer and I was like, immediately, I was like, this is going to be Asim's favorite film of the year. Like, it's not even.
Abhi Asim roega.
I was really close. Like, I was like really, really close. And I think I was really also happy with Abhishek because he's really leaning into these papa roles, right? Like he did it in Breathe and now he's doing it again. And this has like a bit of Breathe and a bit of, obviously Yuva kind of thing. And I think that's like good for Abhishek.
Lallan the father years,
Yeah. So it's a smart play of Abhishek to be part of this and doing this kind of role. And it's cool. I felt it was, and that's why I'm talking about the critical reviews. I don't think they praise him enough. Well, the critics tend to praise Pankaj Tripathi and they tend to praise Rajkumar Rao, which again I predicted Rajkumar Rao would not work for me, and he didn't work for me in the movie itself.
It just felt like a different movie for that part of the movie. It didn't really gel with the remaining. I don't know why, but it felt like Rajkumar Rao can do it, and he's done it, and I did like really the casting of Fatma Sana Sheikh because she was perfect as that girl in the village that people go nuts about. And when you're outside of the village, it's like, her? Like, seriously, is everybody like going crazy about her? Well, I thought that was kind of good casting. And I think she did really, really well, both her and Sanya Malhotra. But I love this movie and I want to rewatch it again. It's so good.
I would just, if I can just quickly say that I would slightly disagree with you on the Abhishek Bachchan thing, and it pains me to say it because I like the guy as a personality. He seems a fun sort of chap, when you see him in interviews. And I liked a lot of his early work in films like Blockmaster and Yoga and so on. But I just feel like the last 2 or 3 times I've seen him, he's so inert. It's like it reminds me of what Kurosawa said about Toshiro Mifune once. The speed of his movements was such that he expressed in a single action what most actors took 3 separate movements to express. And with Abhishek, I feel it's sometimes the other way around. It's like he expands the film and sort of he adds to its running time just by virtue of being in it. And while I'm with you about the story and how emotionally resonant it is about a little girl and the process he goes through to sort of to make his peace with that. But I just wish sometime watching Abhishek here and in Man Malviya and a couple of other things, I just wish he would start jumping around or doing something. I mean, even if it's completely against the requirements of the film at that point. But that's a personal piece.
No, I kind of get what you're saying. I think he should lean into that angry young man role that his dad used to do, and I think he's trying to actively not do that. And the times he has done it, like I like cool Abhishek, like the Bluff Master one, or I like the action Abhishek from Yuva or even Dam Maro Dam. I like that, and I'm enjoying this new dad Abhishek. I don't like subdued nice guy Abhishek, like Prem Abhishek from, if Salman Khan's Prem would be played by, like, what was that movie he did with Akshay Kumar and Karisma Kapoor back in the day?
Haan, maine bhi pyar kiya hai.
Yeah, that Abhishek I like less. But
wow, shocking.
I thought you were about to say main Prem ki diwani hua.
I know, that's what I thought too. I would have been like revolutionary. You didn't like that film?
So, but again, because I connected with the story, I could get that, like, he's just untethered without his daughter, you know? And when he finds a replacement, he comes back alive. He starts smiling again. And I mean, these are just, you know, personal things because I'm just so much in love with my own daughter. This idea where letting her go. No, the image, that scene where she doesn't recognize him. And it broke my heart because it's such a nightmare that I sometimes have, that something breaks in our relationship, and it will happen when she becomes a teenager, you know, but her not recognizing you, that is like such a deep-seated fear as a dad in me. It just like just that one emotion was so strong that it just made everything okay for me. The rest of the track.
I think that's just how the best movie buffs respond to films in that way. I think, you know, where you sometimes it can just be a single track or a single scene that just resonates so strongly with you at a personal level that it just, you know, it just covers up for a lot of other things that might not have worked. And that happens with me all the time with the films that I love, or even bits of films that I love, that, you know, you just relate to something in your own life, and you know, it just works at that level.
Which brings me to the point that, you know, even in a outlandish project like this, which has so many narratives, Anurag Basu maintains that calm and sort of composure to include scenes like these, which speak to people, you know, on an emotional level, rather than have the loud spectacle and the visuals to do the talking. There are these minute scenes where there is not a single word being spoken, and yet the message is conveyed so beautifully.
Amrita, did we convince you to watch Ludo now?
Oh yeah. I'll check it out.
I'm really looking forward to hearing which of the 4 stories resonates with you the most. You know, it's I'm really curious about it because they're all good, comprehensively told stories, and it's not like when we were watching PPK where you can watch one story
and stop.
Yeah, you have to watch the whole thing, and it's like I said, if you're in for the first 10 minutes, you're in, and if you're not, it's going to be hard to connect, because there were people that I was reading some reviews that didn't like anything. Like, also just that they were mentioning, you know, the shadow of Mirzapur is so strong that they couldn't even accept Pankaj Tripathi as this kind of more comedic Don kind of thing that he's playing. So it's an interesting time.
That was one of the nicer things about the film. You know, this Kaleen Bhaiya meets Kantabai. You know, the Pankaj Tripathi and Shalini Vatsa, like I was saying, it's just something that just felt so nice in a goofy sort of way, that it and without interfering with the narrative of the film. Also, I want to say, Amrita, you haven't seen Ludo yet, despite the fact that weeks ago you were talking to me about this film and saying, oh, I bet Jay hasn't even heard of this.
So, Jay, the filthy secret about me is that I never watch anything. So, there is no, like, I know everything that's out. I literally never watch anything until like 6 months later. So,
Amrita exists in Turkey right now.
That is
Turkey and Russia.
That is exactly where I am right now. So, no.
Great. Let's finish off this segment. Jay, where can people find you online? Where can they find your work?
Well, I have my website, which is, well, I call it a website now. It's a blog, basically, Jabberwock, jayarjun.blogspot.com. And you know, it's started as a blog 16 years ago, but really the last few years it's been a storehouse mainly for my published work, the pieces that I've done, you know, the columns, reviews, articles, that sort of thing. So it's so, you know, if you just search for my name, it'll be right there, the first result, Jay Arjun Singh.
And both are your books, if you want to, they're available on Amazon.
Yeah, The World of Rishikesh Mukherjee and the Jaane Bhi Do Yaron, Seriously Funny since 1983. They are there. I also edited an anthology of film essays called The Popcorn Essayists, which which I'm quite happy with because 95% of the writing in that is not mine, it's by other people. so less pressure, etc. So I'm also doing these online film appreciation courses, and the hosting an informal film club discussion. For that, if you want information about that or you want to join, you can contact me at jayarjun@gmail.com.
And listeners, please don't recommend that I should join this course because I know where this is going. I know our listeners. I know the shade that gets thrown at me. Sujoy, where can people find you online?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at 9e3k.
Amrita.
You can find me on Twitter at AmritaIQ and my YouTube channel Amrita by the Book. And also, I was recently on the Other Banana podcast discussing a film starring Nani. So you can check that out at your preferred platform.
Great. I'm at Asim Bernie. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm on the Exploding Helicopter podcast, which I think the episode should be dropping in the next few weeks, talking about Bazi. And then you can also see me on YouTube talking about Bollywood podcasting on the Khandaan podcast YouTube channel. We'll all add the links in the show notes. This was fun. Next episode is with Jay on his pick, No Entry. So keep listening.
Khandaan podcast on the acting. Girl, you're much